Hello again. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing a book haul. Now this is something quite new for me because I don't usually buy books. I usually read all my books on Kindle Unlimited, or I just reread books I already have. So it's quite unusual for me to buy as many books as I've bought in the last month, in the last couple of weeks. And I blame this almost entirely on Instagram and BookTube. And I blame it almost exclusively on Crystal's Bookish Life, Alicia Reads, and a couple of the other Romance Book Squad. They post a book on the internet, I go and buy it. That's basically how this works. It's shocking, it really is. I don't think I've ever spent this much money on books in my life. But anyway, so I have got quite a few. Some of them are hard copy, physical copy. Some of them are on my Kindle, they're ebooks, and some of them you will have heard me mention in other kind of reading vlogs or in reading plans, etc. But I thought I would do a bit of a summary of all the books I bought recently. There are quite a few, we better get started. So first up, and these are in no particular order by the way, these are just as I grab them. So first up we have The Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah MacLean. This was for the Historical Romance Readathon that I bought this for, but I have seen it mentioned a number of times by a number of people and I did really want to read it. I have now also purchased the next two in the series, Brazen and the Beast and Daring and the Duke. They haven't arrived yet, much to my annoyance. They're on their way. One of them should be coming today. So annoyingly, I think the wrong order. I think the third book is coming before the second book. That's going to annoy me. But anyway, I adored this one, so I'm looking forward to getting the next two in the series. Next up, for another read-along, these read-alongs are going to cost me a fortune, and I realise I could probably not buy these books, but where's the fun in that, hey? So, next up, we have the Lost Duke of Wyndham books. Or the Two Dukes of Wyndham, are they called? The Two Duke of Wyndham books by Julia Quinn. So you have The Lost Duke of Wyndham and Mr. Cavendish, I presume. These are a duology. They're to be read together. They overlap. They feature the same characters, kind of. There's two heroes and two heroines and they intermingle with these books. I do own these on my Kindle somewhere, I think, but I don't know where they are. And when they were doing the Rake Appreciation Society, I decided to go out and buy myself actual physical copies. Seeing as I have like an entire Julia Quinn shelf, I thought I may as well try and get all of her books at some point, and these were two that I didn't have, so picked up those. They also, the covers are the same kind of covers as my Bridgerton series and my Smythe Smith and my Rokesby series, so they're all going to look really pretty together, which I approve of. Apparently now, because apparently I'm one of those people who cares what my bookshelves look like, which I never was before. Again, blaming it on Instagram. Next up, we have The Wonderful Kerrigan Byrne, and we have the first two books in the Victorian Rebel series. We have The Highwayman and we have The Hunter. They are so freaking pretty. Look at them. These colours are gorgeous. They're so rich and yummy. Annoyingly, the next two books in the series, The Highlander and The Duke, I cannot find anywhere as a physical copy. That's really hacking me off because I really, really want to have them all in a nice row. I'm going to have a Kerrigan Byrne shelf to go with my Julia Quinn shelf. But I can't find them anywhere. They're not on Amazon, they're not on Amazon Marketplace, not on eBay. They just don't exist apparently. So I am going to have to get those on ebook to begin with, but I will eventually pick up the hard copies as well. But yeah, I've recently discovered a love of Kerrigan Byrne, and I'm quite happy to have ebooks for most books if I don't feel like I need to own them, but I feel like Kerrigan Byrne is one of those authors I need to have her books on my shelves. So there you go with those ones. And then for the Winter of the Wallflower read along for last week, it was That Scandalous Evening by Christina Dodd. I love the inside of this one. It's really, really pretty, even if the book itself got kind of slagged off immensely in the chat, which was awkward. But anyway, it's a pretty book. And I'll probably read it at some point. Maybe. I'm not going to let myself become one of those people who buys books and then doesn't read them. I'm not going to be that person. I will read it eventually. So then next up, I keep seeing people on YouTube doing mystery romance novel unboxings where they get sent books and they don't know what's in the box and they get to open them, and I want to do one of those so badly, but all the ones I found are in America. They're in the US, I'm in the UK, in case you didn't guess from the accent, or lack of accent, depending on where you are. And the shipping costs are insane, like full on ridiculous. So at the moment, I can't afford to buy one of these awesome mystery boxes, which pisses me off immensely. God damn you, shipping costs. Anyway, but what I did find on eBay was somebody was selling a bundle of historical romances, kind of older ones, more old school ones, for I think it was about 12 quid maybe, and there were 5 books in there, which I kind of sat and went, just over 2 quid a book, that'll do. So I bought it, and I deliberately didn't pay an awful lot of attention to what books were in the bundle. I did check that I didn't already own any of them, but I didn't research any of them, I didn't look them up, I didn't check up on the authors, I just bought it. And that arrived the other day, and these are the books that arrived. So I'm gonna have a quick look through these and see what we've got. So first up, we have Lorraine Heath's To Marry an Heiress. I've actually started this one, and it's okay. It's all right. It's another one of these American heiress coming over to marry a titled English gentleman, but there's a bit of a twist because maybe it's on the back, so I'm not spoiling anything that you don't know already. Maybe the heiress isn't as much an heiress as we think she is. Maybe the Earl's going to be a bit annoyed when he finds that out. Where I've got to at the moment, he's just found that out, and he is annoyed. So I'm interested to see how it all ends happily, how they overcome that. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's kind of quite sedate. It's kind of quite gentle. It's not massively steamy. I mean, the sex is still sex, and I think they've only had sex once so far because he's fallen out with her now, and there's not been a lot of drama or a lot of action yet particularly. It's quite a kind of steady paced book, but I am enjoying it and it is good. And I've also got another Lorraine Heath on my Kindle, so I'll be interested to see if I kind of get into a new author. Next up we have Reckless by Amanda Quick, and this is really, really funny because I'd never heard of Amanda Quick until 2 weeks ago when we read Dangerous as part of the Winter of the Wallflower readathon, and now I've got another one. So what are the odds of that, I ask you? And the back of the book says, from a crumbling fairy tale castle on the stormy Sussex coast to a dazzling, dizzying masquerade ball comes an enchanting tale of a tarnished knight, a daring maiden, and a sweet, searing storybook love. At 16, Phoebe Layton had imagined that Gabriel Banner was a brave and valiant knight, a noble-hearted hero born to rescue ladies in distress, which was why, 8 years later, when she desperately needed help to carry out a vital quest, she could think of no one more suited to the job than Gabriel. But when she lures her shining knight to a lonely midnight rendezvous, Phoebe finds herself sparring with a dangerously desirable man who is nothing like the hero of her dreams, and when he sweeps her into a torrid and blatantly unchivalrous embrace, she can't help but fear that she's made a dreadful mistake. It really made me laugh when I read this one because the plot of Dangerous starts with the heroine going to visit the hero to ask him to do her a favour, and he kind of sweeps her into a non-chivalrous, passionate embrace, and she's kind of taken aback by his kind of attempted seduction of her, and that just sounds like exactly the same start. So yeah, it also sounds, I mean, are we talking about knights as in actual knights? Is it like knights in shining armour, or is it just like kind of metaphorical knight, like a noble gentleman? We will see. I enjoyed Dangerous. I think it was probably a 3 to 4 stars for me, so I'm interested to see how I get on with Reckless. Next up we have this one. I mean, look how old this is. This is a proper old book. This is Heather Graham's Every Time I Love You, and this was published in 1988. I was 3 when this book was published. It is funny when I hear people talk about old books and they're like released in 2002, and I'm like, God damn it, that book is not old. This is an old book. So this book says, the dark, handsome rebel... Oh, I should probably say on the front it says, had they loved passionately 200 years ago, could it all be happening again? So this is kind of hinting at maybe past lives, which is intriguing. It says, the dark, handsome rebel had ruthlessly seduced exquisite Katrina Seymour. She fled her powerful Tory family to be at his side. But as revolution raged and a nation struggled to be born, heartbreaking betrayal and treachery would set Percy Ainsworth against the young Katrina. What begins as a scandalous affair would end in violence and a passion that cried out for truth and fulfilment through centuries of time. Gail Norman was too savvy to believe in love at first sight, and yet Brent Macaulay, the brilliant artist, was irresistible. Overnight they were passionately involved. Within a month they were married. It was all so wonderful, so perfect, almost too good to be true. But when their bright love suddenly turned dark and dangerous, could they believe in the reality of a long-forgotten past? So it sounds like it's kind of past lives reincarnation stuff, which is different. I don't think I've ever read a romance novel like that before. I really don't think this is one I would ever pick myself. I don't think I'd ever pick this up if I read about it, so I will definitely be giving that one a go just to see how I get on with it, and I'll report back here later. Next up we have Teresa Medeiros, Breath of Magic, and this was another author that I hadn't heard of until very recently when I read one of her books. Can't think what it's called, but it was like a scarred hero and a nurse who goes to look after him, and I really enjoyed that. It was really, really good. This one sounds more fantasy and kind of magic-y based, which is not my usual genre, but you know. And it says, an enchantress from 17th century Massachusetts collides with a future beyond her imagining and with a handsome cynic who's about to learn a lesson in the power of love. So, an exquisite enchantress lost in time. Ariane Whitewood hasn't quite gotten the hang of the powerful amulet she'd inherited from her mother, but she never expected it to whisk her more than 300 years into the future. Flying unsteadily on her broomstick, she suddenly finds herself among towers of glass and metal, then tumbling from the sky to land at the feet of a man with frost-grey eyes and a seemingly flint-hard heart. A sceptical tycoon out of his element. Reclusive billionaire Tristan Lennox didn't believe in magic, but he had his own reasons for offering $1 million to anyone who could prove it existed. Now he finds himself besieged by fakes, frauds, and an old nemesis ready to leap on this opportunity to destroy him. But the smoky-voiced beauty who appeared to fall from the clouds into his climate-controlled existence is something else entirely. A woman able to enchant his lonely heart with wonder, but who can't possibly be what she seems. So it's almost like half historical romance, half not, because she's from the past, but he's from the future, and so that's two only just historical romances. They sound like they're probably more contemporary romance than historical. And I don't mind a contemporary romance, but when you buy a box of 5 historical romance, you kind of expect they're going to be set historically. Maybe. I don't know. We shall see. And next up, and finally from my sort of mystery box, we have The Accidental Countess by Valerie Bowman. And this one says, can a scandalous charade lead to true and lasting love? For 7 long years, Lady Cassandra Munro has waited for the man of her dreams to return from the war. Unfortunately, he happens to be engaged to her flighty cousin. What Cass wouldn't give to take her cousin's place. When he mistakes Cass for Patience Bunbury, a fictitious friend her cousin has invented to escape social obligations, even with her future husband, Cass thinks this is her chance. After defeating Napoleon at Waterloo, Captain Julian Swift is not quite ready to settle down and enter into his unwanted arranged marriage, especially when the real object of his affection turns out to be a beguiling beauty he meets at a party. Patience Bunbury is witty, independent, passionate, and, unbeknownst to him, the cousin of his current fiancée. When the truth about Cass comes out and Julian discovers that their courtship is anything but accidental, will he surrender his heart to a woman who really is too good to be true? That one sounds really, really interesting. Even having read that blurb, and it's quite a lengthy blurb, I couldn't really tell you what I expect to happen because he's already engaged. Like, it was hard to get out of engagements by then. But anyway, and the whole him thinking she's someone else, eagle-eyed readers among you will possibly have noticed the name Patience Bunbury. That immediately calls to mind Importance of Being Earnest and the Bunbury kind of subplot where Algernon keeps telling everybody that he's got a sick friend called Bunbury who needs looking after and means that he can't kind of go out all the time. So that kind of instantly goes, yes, that made me smile. Yeah, I don't know which I'm going to start out of all of those, if I'm honest. Got a lot of books to get through. I'll be interested to see how long it takes me to get through them all. So then we head over to my Kindle to my ebooks, and oh my god, do I have a lot of these to go through. So let's see if I can find out what I bought recently. So just today I've ordered The Governess Game and The Wallflower Wager, which are the follow-ups to the Duchess Deal, I think it's called, by Tessa Dare. I really enjoyed the Duchess Deal, and I'm looking forward to reading the next two in the book. They were on sale. I think one was 99p and one was £2.99, so I thought, why the heck not? So I got those really quickly. Also, Alicia Reads, again, you see, she keeps popping up. She's terrible, I tell you. She's like an enabler. It's ridiculous. I saw her on Goodreads talking about a series called the Sins for All Seasons series by Lorraine Heath, and she was saying how much she'd enjoyed it. And so I decided I would pick up the first one in that series. That is Beyond Scandal and Desire. I know absolutely nothing about it. I haven't read any of the blurb. I just bought it purely on her say-so. That's how much I will follow everything she does. I'm a sheep. Alicia has almost exactly the same taste as me, so if she says she likes the book, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. So I've leapt on that immediately. Next up we have Secrets of a Summer Night by Lisa Kleypas. This is the next book we're reading for the Winter of a Wallflower read along, and so I decided to not get that. I've been getting the rest of them kind of in paper copy like this one, but I was struggling to find this one. It always seemed quite expensive, and because I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to like it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get it on my Kindle, and if I love it I can always buy a hard copy later, but I don't know if I'm going to rush to do that. I've also really got into Erica Ridley recently, and I bought a few of her books the last time I was kind of buying some books. So I got a duology that had two of her books, The Viscount's Tempting Minx, and I can't even read that. What the chuff does that say? The Earl's Defiant Wallflower. I've read a few of her books by now, and I really am enjoying them. So whenever I see like an offer or one kind of a bit cheap, I always pick those up. And then the only non-historical book that I bought recently, because apparently all I do is buy historicals now, is Dirty by Callie Hart. I actually have already read this entire series, but I don't own it. I only read it, I think, on Kindle Unlimited, and I just decided it was time to give it a reread. It's a fantastic book. It is a hitman series where he is a hitman sent to kill someone and he falls in love with her instead. Very much like The Hunter's going to be. It is one of my favourite tropes. I do love it, so I couldn't resist. So I think for now that is everything. I've got some serious reading to do, which is good because I love to read, so everybody's happy. It's been a pleasure as always, and I will see you again very soon with another video. Please subscribe if you don't already so that you can see what I'm up to next, and I'll be back very soon. Take care. Bye.